Alrighty, it is 10:53 p.m. Monday, June 2nd. That's crazy. It didn't even hit me that June is here, but I guess it is. New month. And since I'm done with the content challenge on TikTok, I'm still going to be posting at least one video a day. That's the goal. Probably going to be posting 2 today. And yeah, haven't done them yet. I've recorded them, but haven't edited them. I'm kind of getting into a new flow of, instead of pre-scripting everything beforehand, which hasn't really been working, just texting myself topics and ideas throughout the day, and then sort of when I feel like I'm in a talkative mood, ready to yap, or I feel like I've had an epiphany or something, or I just have an idea and I feel ready to record it, I'll just whip out the camera, talk for like a couple minutes, and then later in the day I'll just edit that. Yeah, and I don't know if this is the best way to do it, because I think there is still some value to like preparing, doing research, having like more concrete evidence and like and proof and things like that in my videos, especially on TikTok, where like you really need to get people's attention spans. But I think what this is forcing me to do is 2 things. It's forcing me, one, to really have quality inputs. I'm planning to set aside time every day to read, and particularly read something that's outside of sort of the mainstream of self-development and psychology, so that I can sort of bring these unique and new concepts into the field of self-development, and psychology, philosophy, neuroscience. That way I'm not just regurgitating the same information that you're getting from other creators. I'm not just regurgitating the information that I'm seeing online, which, a lot of it's great, but I don't want to be repeating something that you can be getting somewhere else. I want to be sharing new information and valuable perspectives that, I found my favorite creators are the ones that I can learn something that I would genuinely have trouble finding anywhere else on the internet, even if I looked for it. And yeah, so that's number 1, is really curating my inputs and being intentional about spending time reading, going deep into these things, because I'm realizing like a lot of the perspectives that I have, people are complimenting me about my unique takes and like kind of more nuanced philosophy around like shadow work and self-love and acceptance and things like that. I talked with another guy on TikTok today. I met him on FaceTime, and yeah, he was like, yeah, I could tell you studied philosophy because, based on my ideas. And I realized like, yeah, I'm actually incredibly grateful I studied philosophy, even though like on the surface it's kind of a useless degree. It forced me to read a lot, and it forced me to read a lot of things that most people don't read. And so I have this depth of understanding, or at least this unique perspective that just isn't common, right? It's not the same thing you're getting on Joe Rogan and Chris Williamson and Hamza and all these creators. So I want to keep doing that, because I think, that's where people grow the most. I realize like I've been watching some Sam Ovens videos. He makes business content, and a lot of his best analogies and best like tools that he teaches are things that he got from unique sources of information that I'd never even heard of before I watched his videos. So it's like, it's clear that he has really quality inputs that he's curated, or at least inputs from a different, place than I normally look. And so this process of synthesis and translation, really, a lot of it stems from having good sources of information. And then the second thing that I really want to work on, which I think this style of content, being more raw and forcing myself to, not script and basically speak naturally, is it's going to teach me how to public speak and how to tell stories without needing to read off a script. Like, I think naturally as I practice these, especially early on, it's not going to be nearly as good, because I'm kind of just going off of my own like yapping ability. And so naturally I'm going to go off course, and I'm probably not going to say all the right things. But over time, I think I'll develop a sort of intuition, or that's the hope, right? For things like what's called a super hook is like either after the hook or within the first like 10 or so seconds of a video, of like a short form video, having some clear indicator of authority and reason why you should listen to me or why you should watch this video in particular. And if I can practice doing that, or if that's just one of the things in my head as I'm continuing to make videos every day, eventually I'll get good enough where I will do it naturally and I won't have to write it in a script, or I won't have to keep telling myself to do this. It'll just be a part of the process. And things like that, right? Because on one hand, I could try to implement all these things piece by piece, one at a time, put it in a script, create like a formula for my script. But I don't think that's nearly as effective as actually developing and finding my own sauce, because I've noticed my favorite creators are really hard to pin down to a formula. They've sort of developed their own process that is very unique, and it's very hard to replicate because it's not derived from some formula necessarily, right? There might be overarching principles and things that they follow, but the truth and the fact of the matter is that it's their own secret sauce, their own recipe that they've cooked up, and that's what makes it feel so unique, is because it's not like anything else you're seeing. It's not deconstructed and reverse engineered in the same way that a lot of quality content or high value content is. And I respect that more than anything, that originality, that rawness, that authenticity, because a big part of that is it takes a lot longer to cultivate, and it takes a lot more listening to yourself and experimentation and truthfulness, right? It doesn't like ask you to put on this sort of mask or whatever. But at the same time, right, there's a lot of principles and things that I can learn from creators that are better than me, and that's what I'm hoping to gain, is like the higher level strategies and thinking behind, how to start a video, what kind of value are people looking for, how can I convey my ideas in the most succinct and powerful and resonant way, while at the same time, right, like this is the skill aspect of the communication, while at the same time really having quality inputs and sources of information that funnel into that, so that, if I have good ideas and I have good execution, good communication, I think that's more than I could ask for. Other people want really great editing, really great visual storytelling. That's just not as much for me. I feel like the people who've influenced me the most in my life have been teachers and speakers and philosophers, and it's very like centered around this style of teaching rather than all the flashy stuff. And yeah, I've sort of talked about that quite a lot in the past couple days, but I just want to keep reminding myself that, because that's a priority. And yeah, that's what I'm focused on at the moment, and just gonna keep chipping at this one day at a time. I already feel a little more confident on camera after 2 weeks. I feel like I'm starting to understand the game a little bit better. I definitely don't have shit figured out by any means, at least performance-wise, but we're getting there. We're making progress, and that matters. So, yeah, if you made it this far, appreciate you listening, watching. Let me know what you're up to these days. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.